On this Monday night, what is making Canadian diplomats in Cuba and their families so sick? Experts are baffled and say it's a brain injury that's new to science. So the government is sending the diplomats' spouses and children home. Tonight, what we know about this medical mystery.
Also, a CBC News exclusive reveals how some team owners are making money off of scalped tickets.
And take a look at this. These are buckets on the field at Rogers Centre in Toronto, catching water after chunks of ice fell off the CN Tower and ripped right through the dome. We'll show you the damage from that spring ice storm. This is The National.
When you think about dangerous diplomatic missions, you might picture a war zone, not a country where more than 1 million Canadians vacation every year. But tonight, Ottawa has declared Cuba too risky for the families of our diplomats, all because of an illness with no apparent cause and no clear cure. About a year ago, diplomats serving here in Havana and their families began complaining of some rather strange symptoms. At least 10 Canadians have shown unexplained dizziness, headaches, nausea, even some hearing loss. And now the government says the Canadians may have a brain injury. Catherine Cullen's been tracking this story today from Ottawa. Catherine, tell us what we know about why these Canadians have become ill.
Well, frankly, Rosemary, in some ways, this story is more mysterious than ever now, and that's despite the fact that Canadian and American officials have been looking into this for about a year now. A senior Canadian official did say today that those up to 10 people who have been experiencing these syndromes, they've come back to Canada. In some cases, their symptoms were getting better, but in some cases, their symptoms have actually come back once again. And so we find ourselves with this medical enigma of sorts. Some people are calling it Havana syndrome. Just listen to an American doctor who examined some American diplomats who fell ill.
So this is kind of like, immaculate concussion. We don't know what happened. And yet they look almost exactly like the patients we would see in a concussion clinic.
Canadian officials said today that 2 causes are now thought to be improbable. This wasn't a sonic attack, and it wasn't a mass psychogenic illness, basically a sort of hysteria with no physical cause. Officials also said today that they've done environmental testing for the diplomatic residences of embassy staff, and that didn't lead to a cause. Instead, Global Affairs Canada says medical information points to a new type of possible acquired brain injury. Department officials are calling for more research, noting the cause remains unknown but could be human-made. And listen to what the American expert had to say about that.
Is this the first time you have to deal with something like that?
I think it's the first time anybody's had to deal with this.
In the medical history?
Yeah, there really is nothing like this.
Now, to be clear, Canadian officials are not blaming anyone for this. It's not clear if an individual or several people are really responsible for all this. We still have so many questions. They have said, though, that Cuban officials have been very helpful. They've been cooperative during the investigations, Rosemary.
Okay, as I mentioned off the top, so many Canadians go down to Cuba for holidays. Should other Canadians be worried about this?
Well, Global Affairs Canada says no. They say that when you look at what's happened here, there really was just this cluster of incidents affecting Canadian and American diplomats and their families. They do not believe that there is an increased level of threat to Canadian tourists. They do say, though, that while they continue to investigate this, they continue to have hope. They really are not any closer to figuring out exactly what has happened here.
Such a strange story. Thanks, Catherine. Appreciate it. CBC's Catherine Cullen in Ottawa tonight. Unaccompanied posts are considered so dangerous that diplomats can't take their family members. Typically, that title is given to conflict zones, but with Havana now on that list, that means the Canadian Foreign Service considers Cuba as dangerous as the missions in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and South Sudan. As Catherine mentioned, it's not just Canadians that have fallen sick. The mysterious illness is stumping U.S. authorities as well.
Well, you're going to see what's happening in Cuba, but they did some bad things in Cuba.
At least 22 Americans got sick in what the U.S. says were attacks on its diplomats. For his part, Donald Trump says Cuba is responsible, but he's offered no evidence. No one else has either. The U.S. has pulled more than half of its staff home, even telling Americans to reconsider traveling there.
Now to an investigation closer to home. Alleged serial killer Bruce McArthur has one more life to answer for when he eventually goes on trial. Tonight, he is charged with an 8th count of first-degree murder. And there's something about this newest victim that sets him apart from all the rest. Joanna Rumiliotis has our story.
To police, he was a mystery, a man in a picture with no name. Until now. It's a shred of dignity in a horror story that keeps unfolding.
I can now report that the remains have been identified as Karushna Kumar Kanagaratnam.
Kanagaratnam is now Bruce McArthur's 8th alleged victim. Killed, police believe, in late 2015. Identified only after police released a picture of him dead on 2 occasions.
The stress and anxiety over dealing with hundreds of tips, hundreds of missing person occurrences, and dozens of potential identifications for the 8th victim has been enormous.
Like some other alleged victims of McArthur's, Kanagaratnam's remains were found in planters at a home where McArthur stored his landscaping tools. But there's a chilling randomness to his murder. Unlike the others, police haven't connected him to Toronto's gay village or found an online profile on any dating apps linked to McArthur.
He doesn't quite fit the profile that we've seen before. This does create basically a wide open net.
What is clear, his story is a sad one. Police say Kanagaratnam arrived in Canada in 2010 from Sri Lanka. CBC News has learned he was on the MV Sunsea, a Thai cargo ship carrying nearly 500 Tamil asylum seekers that docked in British Columbia. Most were fleeing the aftermath of Sri Lanka's bloody civil war. To survive an arduous 100-day journey at sea, only to be murdered in the safe haven Canada represented, is a cruel twist of fate. Gabriel Chand was one of the lawyers involved in the refugee hearings. He met Kanagaratnam and remembers a soft-spoken man.
It was shocking to me. You know, he was such a nice guy, and just to know that that was his fate, it was terrible.
This man spent all that time at sea with Kanagaratnam. He doesn't want us to use his full name. They both spoke of creating new lives in Canada. Both ended up in Toronto and would run into each other over the years. He says Kanagaratnam became despondent after his refugee claim was denied. At one point, was living on the streets.
Only he came to Canada to protect his life, but unfortunately he's not with us now. It's really bad news.
Joanna is here with more on this case. It's nothing short of a miracle that both those men made it here alive. All the more horrible what happened. Anything more you can tell us about him in particular?
There's a lot of sensitivities regarding his case in particular because police were very clear not to speculate about his sexual orientation and later told us on background they're being deliberately careful because of the repercussions for his family back home in Sri Lanka where it's a crime to be gay. So those are the kind of sensitivities they're dealing with in this case and in other cases where they're still receiving calls from people who had very scary encounters with Bruce McArthur, who also come from countries that are quite conservative in values, and they are also not going public because of those same concerns.
Makes it so much harder. What is the status of the investigation now?
At this point, there's one more alleged victim whose remains have yet to be identified. And at this point, there's no other sets of remains in those planters, but they're still going through them. So that's the news that we'll be expecting to hear, hopefully soon.
Okay, Joanna, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
The 8 alleged victims of Bruce McArthur went missing over a period of less than 7 years, and all but 2 were born outside of Canada. Skanda Navaratnam was a refugee from Sri Lanka. He was last seen leaving a gay nightclub in September of 2010. Abdul Basir Faizi was from Afghanistan. His last known whereabouts, Toronto's gay village in December 2010. Majid Kayhan, also from Afghanistan, was last seen in October of 2012. Sarush Mahmoudi, who came from Iran, was reported missing by his family in 2015. And as you heard, Karushna Kumar Kanagaratnam came from Sri Lanka. Police believe he died in late 2015. Canadian-born Dean Lissowick had no fixed address and was never reported missing, but we know he stayed at a shelter in 2016. Salim Essen, born in Turkey, was last seen near his downtown Toronto home in April 2017. Andrew Kinsman, the only other victim born in Canada, was last seen in June of 2017. The day after that year's Pride Parade. Here's what else we're following on The National tonight. Donald Trump's personal lawyer and the porn star he allegedly paid off were both in court today. Keith Bogue takes us through what we learned.
Patrick Chan announces his retirement. The Olympic medalist talks with Ian about settling for silver in Sochi and what's next for his career.
But first, an emotional tribute in Saskatoon to a teammate, friend, and son killed in the Humboldt bus crash. Family and friends say Evan Thomas loved craft dinner, had a knack for science, and wanted to go into medicine so he could help others. Instead, thousands gathered at the SaskTel Centre today to say their final goodbyes. Susan Ormiston was there.
They called him E.T. for Evan Thomas, just 18, looking forward to those final playoff games, which never came. His surviving Broncos teammates came to the SaskTel Centre, another memorial out of so many. Those who could make it, Grayson Cameron and Derek Patter, got hospital day passes, struggling just to be here, with many other teammates still too fragile. Braden Camrood was close to Evan. He was on the bus that night.
We formed great friendships and bonded over a lot of things, so I'm gonna miss him dearly. He was an incredible person.
Camrood has been to too many teammates' funerals.
I've been to every single one so far, and it's not getting any easier. I'm dealing with it okay. It's just hard, to see and to even picture a family, spending the rest of their days with, without their son. It's so hard seeing the other families in the condition that they're in, but I'm here for every single one of them. I'm here for all my teammates, and the thing that's getting me by is just, spending time with them and, being able to, give my teammates a hug and give my family members a hug.
This was the Thomases' family farewell to their only son, but thousands more were here as a tribute, really, to all the 16 players and staff lost and the 13 others injured. Only one other memorial has ever been held here, for Gordie Howe. And this first public memorial was deeply personal, too, in pre-recorded tributes, like from Evan's sister, Jordan.
I still have the feeling that you're just a Snapchat away, or a short call away, or even just a short drive away. You are my person, the one I could turn to for anything I needed.
Scott Thomas, Evan's father, has been a rock and was again today.
On Friday, April 6th, 2018, at approximately 5 p.m., 15 souls were released from their bodies and exploded across the landscape at record speed.
Speaking to the wounds left for so many.
Its randomness and its senselessness. It has been simply unfair.
There are more funerals to come, a steady march of grief, which, although necessary, has been relentless. What helps you the most right now?
Not thinking about it. It still doesn't seem real. A few days ago I went to text one of my buddies who actually isn't here with us anymore, and I kind of forgot about it, and then it kind of hit me again. So I'm just trying to spend as much time with my family as possible. They're really helping me through this.
As he is helping other Broncos families keep their boys' spirits alive.
Evan, my wonderful boy, rest in peace. I love you, Dad.
So there is an incredible bond between families who've lost their loved ones and families of surviving Broncos. It may seem difficult, but they are all going through these memorials and funerals together. We believe that 2 of the players are dealing with partial paralysis. We're told by the hospital that 10 players are still here officially, 2 of them in critical condition. And we're hearing from parents that, of course, the path to recovery is not a straight line at all, Andrew.
Okay, thank you very much, Susan. Susan Ormiston in Saskatoon for us tonight. We do have one more note on this story. The online fundraiser for the Broncos, the one that's raised millions of dollars, it's now over $12 million. And today we learned what the team plans to do with that money.
If there's any light shining through this dark time, it has come in the form of love for one another. Love and care and compassion is stronger now, I believe, in our world than it has ever been. And our families and our entire Broncos organization has been blessed to feel this love from people from around the globe.
So the Broncos say the GoFundMe campaign will stay open for 2 more days. Then an advisory committee will get to work on deciding how exactly that money should be spent. Beyond that, a new foundation is being set up to raise further funds for those affected by the crash.
Now to the latest CBC News Toronto Star investigation. As anyone watching the Leafs game tonight knows, tickets are expensive and so hard to come by. We've now learned the team owners have identified the scalpers preying on tickets, but as Dave Seglins explains, instead of revoking those tickets, the team owners are just cashing in.
The Leafs' first home playoff game, the most expensive ticket in the country.
$700 for 2 tickets.
$417. Isn't that insane?
For 2 tickets, I paid $1,100.
Too steep for many who simply can't afford to go.
Welcome to the Leafs Geeks podcast. This is Ian here as always.
This superfan who hosts a weekly show on all things hockey says, due to the prices, he's never been to a playoff game.
It's unfortunate. Like, it just sucks. There's no other way around it. I want to go, but I can't afford to.
Even more frustrating, news the Leafs owners are making deals with scalpers.
It's, I mean, to fans like me, it feels like a big middle finger.
Zach Hyman flying towards the net, cuts in, he scores! Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment also owns the Raptors, and for both, they've identified thousands of season tickets hoarded and resold by scalpers, or as some prefer, professional brokers.
So Mark, I've sold these 4 tickets, so can you take them off inventory? I've been called a scalper for 40 years. I'm okay with it. I got over it a long time ago. My customers have never had a problem with what I do. They're happy.
But he's just had a rude shock. A few weeks ago, Maple Leaf Sports unexpectedly jacked the prices for known resellers. For Leafs to renew season tickets, a regular pair, Reds, pretty good seats, about $15,000. For commercial resellers, it's $20,000. And the best seats in the house, Platinums, regular season tickets, $21,960. The scalper price, almost $29,000, a 30% hit.
Now all of a sudden the team looks like they're going to take off and could take off for a decade. It's opportunism.
This price hike sounds like it could be good for fans. The MLSE trying to price out the scalpers. But there's more to it.
The team actually invited them to join a special trusted reseller program, which brokers fear could give owners yet another cut.
We're being targeted. They're basically want a piece of our action, really what it comes down to.
Not a lot of sympathy from our superfan.
If they can identify who the scalpers are and who's not actually using the tickets to go to the games, who's just reselling them every single time, I'd like to see them taken off the season ticket holder list. I think that would be a good start.
MLSE says each team has its own way of dealing with scalpers, and for them, charging more is appropriate. As for that formal reseller program, following questions from CBC, they've scrapped it for now. Dave Seglin, CBC News, Toronto.
So as you heard Dave say just now, not all teams treat scalpers the same way. In Winnipeg, the Jets have a totally different approach.
It has been our practice to cancel broker tickets, and it takes a while to weed through and determine who exactly is doing it, but it's absolutely our preference that tickets for the Winnipeg Jets remain in the hands of Winnipeg Jets fans.
So the Jets require season ticket holders to sign a contract prohibiting commercial sales. They're also required to pay a hefty security deposit, and if they're caught reselling, those season ticket holders can kiss their deposit and tickets goodbye.
Now here's a look at downtown Toronto. Still dealing with the aftermath of an ice storm. Huge chunks of ice have been falling off the CN Tower, which means tonight it is closed, and so is the area around it. One of those chunks ripped a hole into the roof of the Rogers Centre below. Crews have been trying to close the hole back up, and on the field, they set up tarps and buckets to catch the water. But the Blue Jays game against the Kansas City Royals did end up being postponed. In the Ottawa area, people woke up to a city coated in a layer of ice. On Parliament Hill, falling ice shattered windows in Centre Block. And in parts of southwestern Ontario, the problem isn't ice, but severe flooding. The damage in Leamington, so bad, the worst in decades apparently. 1,500 homes were surrounded by water, and because of high winds, a flood warning is still in place.
April showers bring May flowers, I guess. A lot more ahead tonight on The National. A bombshell from Donald Trump's personal attorney. We'll tell you what Michael Cohen said inside a Manhattan courtroom.
And another blow tonight in the fight over the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion. Alberta is now threatening to cut off oil and gas to British Columbia.
And in tonight's national documentary, Paul Hunter takes us inside the race to Mars. Meet a group of people already simulating life on the red planet.
My worst moment was probably being stuck in the airlock with a lot of poo.
In a year's time, if all goes according to plan, Britain will leave the European Union. And what, you might ask, has that got to do with the humble Cornish pasty? The pasty is a symbol of Cornish tradition dating back over 200 years. Culinary heritage rooted to the geography of the place.
You have to have the classic ingredients, the turnip, some people say Swede, you've got onion, you've got potato, and of course, Cornish beef.
As such, it enjoys special EU protection, kind of like a copyright. Think champagne, Scotch whiskey, or Gorgonzola cheese, all safeguarded in EU law by something called protected geographical status. The rules are strict. Pasty man Fergus Muller is on thin ice because his crimp is down the middle instead of on the side.
As long as it was made in the right way by a Cornish person, the way that my gran was taught and all the way down through the family, this is the way you would do it.
Cornish pasties are now said to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars to the local economy here, and that's nothing to sneeze at. It might not look like it in quaint villages like this one, but Cornwall is one of the poorest regions in the United Kingdom. The worry is that without its EU classification, the door will open for competition from pasty imposters abroad, and businesses like this one will no longer be eligible for EU funding. So, potentially still some murky days ahead for the traditional Cornish pasty. But many people here in Cornwall hope that Britain will still be able to convince the European Union to keep its protected status in place in any future trade agreement. But just what that deal might look like is still very much a work in progress. And that is the story of the European Union and the Cornish pasty.
A reality show style showdown today in a New York court. Donald Trump's longtime personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, fighting over evidence seized in an FBI raid as porn star Stormy Daniels, who claims she was paid to keep quiet about her affair with Trump, looked on. The judge rejected Cohen's bid to block prosecutors from reviewing the documents, but as Keith Bogue tells us, it was another revelation entirely which stole the show.
At the start of the day, Michael Avenatti, lawyer for the adult film actress Stormy Daniels, ridiculed Donald Trump's lawyer Michael Cohen for representing himself in his case against the Department of Justice.
You know, there's an old saying that any attorney that represents himself as a fool for a client. I think that would certainly be true in this instance, no doubt.
It was Cohen who insisted this case be heard, and so by extension, it was Cohen who accidentally caused the revelation of a juicy secret. Besides the president and another Republican who's paid for the silence of a Playboy bunny, Cohen has another client, Fox News host Sean Hannity, which made for an awkward moment.
Of course, for us, the elephant in the room at the moment is that Sean Hannity is said to have, according to court documents, been a third client of Michael Cohen.
Hannity has never disclosed the fact that Cohen was his lawyer, even though he's often slammed the special counsel, Robert Mueller, and the FBI for their roles in raiding Cohen's office.
Robert Mueller is now officially gone rogue and declared war against the president.
On his radio show, Hannity tried to deny that Cohen was his lawyer.
I never paid legal fees to Michael.
Cohen is just someone he talks to about legal stuff, he said.
I have occasionally had brief discussions with him about legal questions.
But he thought those discussions
were attorney-client confidential.
Which means he thought Cohen was his lawyer after all.
I said last Friday and this weekend that Michael Cohen was radioactive. What we witnessed earlier in the hearing with the disclosure relating to Sean Hannity proved my point.
And of course, the adult film actress who says Trump is trying to shut her up about their affair continues to demand her right to speak.
And I give my word that we will not rest until that happens.
A prospect that will delight some, but quite possibly terrify others. Keith Bogue, CBC News, Washington.
And ahead tonight on The National, he's a fan favorite and one of Canada's most decorated skaters. Patrick Chan is calling it a career. And Ian caught up with him to talk about inspiring the next generation.
But first, what drives someone to voluntarily live in isolation as if they are millions of kilometers away from the rest of humanity? Next, Paul Hunter takes us inside a simulation preparing for life on Mars.
What I miss most about my life back on Earth is my fiance. I miss all of those little moments during the day that you have together.
He's on his way.
Damian Carson of Canmore is 24 years old. At that age, most young adults are starting new careers and looking toward the future. But Carson's athletic career is just about over, and there's a big hole in his resume, a trip to the Winter Olympics.
I quit right after I'd had the best results of my career, and I couldn't afford to continue skiing, so.
Carson retired from the sport of Nordic combined 10 months ago, but he couldn't stay away. Carson's taking one last shot at his Olympic dream and several shots at a system that has rarely supported him.
It's been incredibly frustrating. You know, you go over to Europe and you're competing and you're beating skiers and you see them go home and, you know, they have a job in the Army where all they do is train and get a paycheck. So, you know, that's very frustrating. But, you know, it's part of being Canadian. What can you do? Just keep plugging away.
Carson says his living expenses are well over $1,000 a month. Most Canadian athletes competing internationally get $1,100 a month from the federal government. But athletes like Carson and others get nothing from the government because of inconsistent results.
It's an Olympic sport, but we haven't had anybody in the Olympics for so long. And I mean, again, a catch-22. You need the money to get someone to the Olympics, but you don't have anybody at the Olympics to get the money.
Chris Holland of Calgary has done remarkably well despite the lack of financial support. He finished third last weekend in a World Cup B event at Canada Olympic Park. Holland is the only Canadian competing regularly on the A circuit, but he's running out of chances to qualify for the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake.
I think it's difficult mostly because the pool of athletes we have is so much smaller than if you look at Norway or Finland or Germany. I mean, they have just such a large base athletes. They can pull out an athlete that's been training his whole life that's better than anybody here.
That's a common excuse for Canadian athletes competing in low-profile sports. But why is it that some other facilities left over from the Calgary Winter Games are producing good results? The Olympic Oval is the home of several world champions, including Katrina Lemay-Doan, an Olympic gold medalist in speed skating. Very few Canadians have ever been in a bobsleigh, but Pierre Lueders of Edmonton has also won a gold medal at the Olympics. Some experts say that it's easier to recruit and keep athletes in bobsleigh and speed skating. The Calgary Olympic Development Association gives money to every one of those sports. CODA hands out more than $7 million a year in facilities and program grants. CODA has just announced its next legacy program. It's an ambitious plan to expand Canada Olympic Park and invest more money in sports like ski jumping and Nordic combined.
If you used a simple cost-effectiveness rule, we'd all be playing soccer. You know, I mean, we wouldn't be involved in a lot of these sports, but the fact is that Canadians express themselves in different ways. And there are youngsters up there in the ski jump that have to fly. Here we have a ski jumping complex and a training environment next to a city or in a city of almost 1 million people. We think the raw material here is outstanding. And we think there are kids out there that want to jump.
Andy Osadets is one of those youngsters that loves to fly. He won't be 14 until April, but he's already been ski jumping for 5 years.
Like, we're rising up, and the younger guys here are really going to be the future of ski jumping.
Osadets is a member of Team 2010, a group of young athletes that has already had some success internationally. They have a European coach and an aggressive attitude.
With ski jumping, it's more that you need to have the mindset to it, and then you can just train yourself physically over the years.
It takes between 6 and 8 years to develop an Olympian in ski jumping or Nordic combined. So John Mills is preaching patience.
We hope that Canada will be at the top of the Olympic rung in 2010.
If you ask the people over at NASA, when will humans set foot on Mars, they will tell you that journey is well underway. Forget about orbiters and rovers. People are already experiencing life on the red planet, sort of. On tonight's national documentary, Paul Hunter takes us inside a mock Mars mission.
The landscape itself is, without a doubt, otherworldly. Barren, rocky. Mars, at least for now, remains a place untouched by humans. But, just so you know, this isn't Mars. Those tiny yellow specks on the hilltop, those are humans. And this is Hawaii, on the shoulder of an active volcano. Those humans are volunteers who've departed Earth, sort of.
What I miss most about my life back on Earth is my fiance. I miss all of those little moments during the day that you have together.
So we're here at a mock Mars simulation. I think I can speak for everybody that we all would go to Mars. You know, we're living the astronaut life here.
6 people who last year agreed to live together like this for 8 months as if they were actually in a habitat on faraway Mars. And as it would be if they were on Mars, all of the video was taken by those at the habitat for CBC News.
Bye, CBC. I love you.
All communications, our interviews, even emails are on a lengthy time delay.
So the whole thing is an exercise in kind of patience and humility and doing your best to find out what parts of you need to pull out and amplify and what parts you need to pull back a little bit so that you can be the best crew member, teammate for the rest of your crew members.
The experiment is funded by NASA as it considers an actual mission to the planet, one of near countless projects underway with that goal. So, they grow their own food, just like in the movies, and they conduct science experiments, just like they would on Mars. But the key aspect is testing interactions and behaviors under stress, because in theory, they're millions of kilometers from anyone else. Supplies are sent in periodically, but otherwise they're on their own.
Oh, that's so horrible.
No matter the challenges, big or small.
My worst moment was probably being stuck in the airlock with a lot of poo.
And forget about feeling the sun or a cool breeze. Every time they go outside, they have to suit up for real. It's hard slogging. But one conclusion they've all reached is that getting to Mars is 100% achievable.
It's definitely not a pipe dream. It sounds like a lot, but I think we'll get there eventually in a very little bit of time. The pieces are out on the table. It's putting that puzzle together. That will happen relatively soon, I believe.
I think that technically we can absolutely go in my lifetime. I think that we could start working now if we needed to. Like, it's a matter of how much risk are you willing to accept for the people who go.
And this is where it's like sitting outside just looking at the rocks and being like, you know what, it really does feel like Mars.
Martha Lenio, now back at her home in Waterloo, Ontario, lived in that habitat on an earlier 8-month mission.
How did you not go stir crazy?
Having very good crewmates.
She emphasizes that as engineers work on the technical challenges of getting to Mars, it's equally important to sort out the psychological ones.
The goal is to figure out how you pick a crew and support a crew for these long duration isolated space missions so that people won't go crazy and kill each other, because you're going to be confined in a small space with 5 other people for up to 3 years. So that does take a fair bit of social ability.
And so they're studying you, basically?
Yeah, we're the guinea pigs in a psychology experiment.
Viking Lander 1
has safely landed on the surface.
It's not like there isn't already stuff on Mars. NASA's Viking Explorer got there in the 1970s and sent back these images. Other robotic missions have followed. These images, each of them stunning, were taken not long ago by NASA's latest Mars rover, the Curiosity. But getting people to Mars and then home safely to Earth is a whole other matter. So, thousands of kilometers from that habitat in Hawaii, at the Johnson Space Center in Houston, NASA engineers whose job it is to think the unthinkable and who are busy on all kinds of things these days include Mars on their interplanetary to-do list.
We're an electric spacecraft, right? So we have solar arrays on the service module.
That's a mock-up of a space capsule called Orion. Najud Maransi leads its development and gave us a peek inside. It's about the size of 2 minivans, and when it's finished, is meant to get astronauts out beyond Earth's orbit for the first time since the days of Apollo, taking the first step toward Mars. But that's the easy part. Challenges in deep space loom. Radiation, illnesses, fuel, just one chance at a safe landing, and then the rest of it.
You're going to need a big habitat. We're going to need big solar cells, systems, power, food, water, all those things. And then you're going to need a rocket to get them back off the surface of Mars. So all of that has to be there even before the crew arrives, because you can't have it show up later.
And remember that time delay communicating with Earth?
So that means if I told you there's an emergency on the spaceship, the ground team would not know that it's happening until 12 minutes later. And if they had an instruction to send back, it'd be another 12 minutes to get back. If there's a fire, if there's a leak, all of those things have to be dealt with by the crew independently, which is certainly a challenge we haven't faced in any human space flight so far. And there's been a lot of challenges, but the ground's able to assist.
It sounds daunting.
It is.
But NASA's gigantic complex in Houston is littered with evidence it's managed daunting challenges before. That's a Saturn V at an on-site museum, the kind of rocket they once used for that other dream, getting to the moon. Meanwhile, just down the street a ways, more evidence NASA's now looking much further afield. We're told to please keep our voices quiet.
And that's what's going on behind us right now. These are the people in there, right?
Yes, that's correct. We have surveillance cameras inside the habitat.
Another habitat with more volunteers inside, this time as if in a spaceship flying toward an asteroid, the kind of trip that might one day target Mars. We had a tour of the simulated mission control with NASA's Andy Self.
The thing about this is, unlike a normal mission control, here, they are actually right there.
Yes.
Like, that's how close we are. That's them, right?
We're about 30 feet away. Yeah.
Wow.
For this test, the volunteers are inside with no windows, just cameras and each other, ostensibly en route and isolated for 45 days.
Can we get a status?
NASA experts watch how they get along. Unlike the habitat in Hawaii, for those simply flying through space, there's much less to occupy the time. So they're studying to see how pure monotony might affect their thinking and actions.
It's basically looking at human nature, seeing how it may unfold, and then countermeasuring it to ensure that it doesn't pose a risk to the mission.
And then there's the biggest challenge of all, money. On that, NASA's been busy with traveling exhibits, promoting even the idea of spending the billions of dollars such a trip would cost. Check this theoretical Mars vehicle, a crowd pleaser aimed at winning the hearts and minds of, taxpayers and their kids.
You guys could be the first ones on Mars. How cool is that?
Public support is crucial. Meanwhile, private companies now play a key role as well. SpaceX, owned by billionaire Elon Musk, famously is now a mega player in the push toward Mars, and Musk himself a mega promoter.
what I really want to try to achieve here is to make Mars seem possible, make it seem as though it's something that we can do in our lifetimes, and that you can go.
In other words, he says, dream big. Working alongside NASA, SpaceX hopes to get to Mars by the middle of the next decade.
This is just seated.
So, what to make of all of this? Who better to ask than someone who theoretically could go? Canada's David Saint-Jacques. Prepping for his imminent trip to the space station, he thinks about this stuff a lot and bottom lines it this way.
Yes, it's risky. It will always be. Spaceflight is maybe the most dangerous thing humans have ever done. But we have learned a lot in the process, and that makes it worth it. So eventually we will go to Mars when that risk balance kind of makes sense.
This is NASA, we make it possible, right? And I'm an engineer, and that's my job, is to solve problems. So I think these are all things we can do. It's not easy, and we need a lot of people working on it to make it happen, but I certainly think it's possible. These are within the realm of human capability, in my opinion.
Meanwhile, they keep at it, finessing Orion, getting it shipshape, balancing those risks while considering all the other challenges. Will there be the money for it? Says Saint-Jacques, there are many important earthly priorities, but...
The priority, of course, should never be space exploration. There's other things that are more important right now. But we should always keep a little sliver of the pie for blue sky research, for the arts, for exploration, because that is how we progress. So eventually it will become reasonable and natural to take a deep breath and dive and make the trip.
And so, as that Hawaiian experiment continues, now with a new crew out exploring make-believe Mars, they take those deep breaths and they dream. After all, what a trip it would be. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Earth.
Well, that is fascinating, and I think daunting was probably the right word there. Okay, up next on The National, Patrick Chan on his decision to retire from competition and what he learned when his Olympic dream didn't come true.
A lot of people looked at Sochi, they agonized, you ended up getting the silver.
Yeah.
You could have had gold.
Yeah, very close. Yeah.
Was that, tell me about the process after.
Sure.
Coming so close.
I couldn't really understand what happened in Sochi until maybe 2 years ago.
Before we head to break, we told you last month that the National Gallery of Canada is selling that, a Marc Chagall masterpiece. So it combined important work of Canadian national heritage. After lots of pressure and questions, today the gallery revealed what it is. It is Jacques-Louis David's neoclassical painting, Saint Jérôme Hears the Trumpet of the Last Judgment. The painting came to Canada in the late 1800s, and it's currently for sale by the Notre Dame Cathedral Basilica in Quebec City. The National Gallery says it wanted to buy Saint Jérôme to make sure it stayed in Canada. Chagall's The Eiffel Tower will be auctioned off next month, a decision it says it didn't take lightly. The painting expected to sell for as much as $9 million US.
Hi, my name's Jordan Kochek. I'm your new best friend.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, let's go do stuff.
Okay, let's see.
You know, we're running around, working. People are working a lot harder. We have less time to play with our kids. We have less time to do the things we want. Why? Because we seem to feel we've got to get more money in order to buy more stuff. And yet, if you think about it, does stuff make us happier? I think that we've got to really sit down and ask, what is it all about? What are the things that really matter?
So what are we going to do today? What do you want to do today?
Well, the thing that I do when, you know, as I do, say I travel too much, But the thing I've tried to do wherever I go is to slot in a bit of time and go to a gym. I just do this 15 times.
Keep it going.
So you're gonna start soon?
Exercising?
Yeah.
You live a great life, you're careful with the environment, but is there something you indulge in that makes you feel really guilty?
Well,
there's got to be something. Do you burn styrofoam for fun? Do you, I don't know.
French fries. I have a weakness for French fries.
Then why are French fries so bad?
Well, they're bad for me. They're bad for me.
Do you?
Hey, thank you very much.
No problem.
Yum.
Yeah,
oh, boy.
ketchup.
No. Oh, awesome. You feel guilty? No.
Now, I have to admit, I'm a little intimidated because you're you.
You're bigger than me? What do you mean?
Well, no, not fight-wise, but like, is he gonna look at the leather in my coat? Is my coffee cup recyclable? Do you kind of walk around and just?
No, if I did that, of course, I'd be mad all the time, and I'd be a drag. Nobody would want to spend any time with me. No, I think it's very important that we not be so judgmental that we can't meet people, talk to them. As I say, we all live with inconsistencies. We're not going to be perfect little environmentalists, perfect parents, or whatever, and we have to accept that. Good aim. Yeah.
And it sometimes crosses my mind and really bothers me that we are just apes. We are just animals.
Shouldn't bother you. I mean, that's the celebration to me. I mean, our chimpanzees are our brothers and sisters.
I know, isn't that wild?
But that's great. They're our relatives.
I guess. Maybe that's why I have such a hairy back. I don't know.
Well, you're not as evolved as Asians, of course, so you're hairier like the apes. But,
I guess you're right. Ukrainians are very hairy. You gotta see my Uncle Ron. David, thank you for being my new best friend. Did you have a good time?
It's been a great time, yeah.
Great. It was a pleasure to meet you. I'll miss you
again.
Seeing my parents smiling in the stands and cheering loud at my last Olympic Games was my golden ticket. They were there before I dreamed of winning, and they're still here at the end.
Patrick Chan, one of Canada's most decorated figure skaters, announced his retirement today after 12 years of competition. He has a proud career to look back on, and at age 27, he still has a lot to look forward to. Ian Hannah-Mansing recently spoke with Chan about his future and also how he dealt with the pressure of high-stakes competition. Here's that interview and some background.
I wasn't born to do tennis. I wasn't born to do golf. You know, I was given a body to do quads and to jump and skate the way I skate.
Patrick Chan has been skating since he was just a kid. His talent unmistakable. At just 17, he became the youngest men's champion in Canadian history.
A teenage titan who has arrived.
He is a three-time world figure skating champion and made his Olympic debut in Vancouver, where he stood out. For the next 3 years, Chan dominated.
He's looking to become the first Canadian man ever to win an Olympic title.
He was a favorite for gold at Sochi, but a shaky performance dashed that dream. He settled for silver. In need of a fresh start, Chan changed coaches and moved to Vancouver. He hoped for one last shot at glory at Pyeongchang. He won gold in the team event, but finished 9th in his final individual performance. Now Chan is moving on to the next chapter of his life, which includes coaching and skating in exhibitions. He leaves as one of Canada's greatest figure skaters. I met up with him a few days ago in Vancouver to talk about his remarkable career and what comes next. So now that you're retired, no one's going to tell you what to eat, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't have to be thinking about how many quads you're going to be doing in 3 months' time.
Exactly.
That must feel kind of liberating.
It is, and I get best of both worlds. I love jumping, but not as much as I love skating, and just feeling the ice, feeling the glide, feeling the interaction I can have with an audience. without the pressure of landing the big jumps. And that's exactly what I get to do. Stars on Ice in May, going across Canada, 12 cities. It's awesome. I don't even need to promote it.
Was that a plug? Did you just do a
I don't
plug?
even need to promote it. It's doing so great. I'm with some of my favorite friends on this tour, and we're such talented people that are happy and going through this post-competition process together. Tessa and Scott, Eric and Megan. It's a very good situation to be in for me.
Can I ask you about Sochi? I mean, you're such a fantastic skater. You've been the best in the world multiple times. Most of us will never be able to say that about what we do. But, you know, a lot of people looked at Sochi, they agonized. You ended up getting the silver.
Yeah.
You could have had gold.
Yeah, very close.
Was that, tell me about the process after in terms of coming so close.
I couldn't really understand what happened in Sochi until maybe 2 years ago, 2017, 2018 season. And the irony is that if I knew what I knew now and the way I trained leading into Pyeongchang back in 2014 and just replace it, and life is like that, I probably would have won gold. But we can always play these mind tricks on ourselves and these scenarios and these dreams. But I'm as happy as I would have been, I am as I would be if I won gold in Sochi, and who knows, maybe I wouldn't have had that amazing experience of winning team gold in Korea because I might have hung them up then. So there's so many exciting scenarios you can play with your mind, but I wouldn't trade for how everything turned out all the way till now.
Realistically, I mean, it worked out so well for you, but realistically, when you think of those young Patrick Chans and women as well, young women across the country and cities, small towns who have this dream to skate in the Olympics, it's a pretty slim chance you're going to make it that far.
Especially now.
And lots of hours they would have to put in. What advice would you give them?
So we're living in a time where figure skating is now, at 13, 14 years old, you need to be landing jumps that I was landing when I was 19, 18. So my message to parents and to the younger skaters is to please enjoy the process of learning how to skate. Skating is in our blood as Canadians, and I think it's not just a sport that you're learning, but culture. And I just think, please take your time and learn how to skate and enjoy it before it gets too competitive and too crazy.
I was sort of distracted by the beautiful weather there, but we should mention that Ian and Patrick talked about much more, including settling down in Vancouver, and you can find more of their conversation on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and surprise, surprise, you know, Patrick did give a few more hints today as to what could be next for him, because fans have been asking him, pestering him on Twitter to see if he'd ever come back to compete in maybe another sport. He said he wouldn't rule it out, and even said he's always loved golfing and skiing.
He also said he has another goal, that he's always wanted to be on Dancing with the Stars, you know, which for Patrick Chan, that is easy peasy.
All of our goals, really. Yeah. Tonight's moment is next, but first we want to show you a special moment in Boston today with the first American woman to win the marathon there in more than 3 decades.
An incredible victory, arms raised, a fist pump, and Des Linden wins the Boston Marathon!
She's done it. It's been 33 long years.
Oh, fantastic.
Since 1985.
How does it feel to finally be in the Wonder Circle?
I don't have the right words. I'm thrilled. It's supposed to be hard, and it's good to get it done.
Patrick and Abood collect corn leaves. Abood will analyze them in the makeshift field laboratory. This little laboratory on Reibling's farm represents a major change in approach to agricultural research in Canada.
This research cannot be done on an experiment station by specialists. It has to be done on the farm, basically by farmers, with scientists observing and interpreting and then giving feedback to the farmers. So it's a very different approach to the traditional modes of agricultural research. We start in the lab with a test tube and go into experimental plot and then give it to the farmer as a fait accompli. We want to go to the farmer first.
But it's those traditional modes of research that are used by the government. Their approach is to group scientists and research stations across the country. John Nolan disagrees with Patricken's idea of on-farm research.
If the researchers were so dispersed, how could they maintain the contact with other researchers? They're gathered in centres, in laboratories, on experimental farms and stations to create a critical mass of scientific expertise working as a team. They have to be congregated somewhere in a location that encourages that interaction in the team.
Why isn't the government now falling all over itself to help those people that are working on a system that has proven itself to save the soil and to improve things for future generations?
I think the answer to that is because there are so many other priorities to spend the money on. For example, in the area of biotechnology, there is simply such an exciting field opening up for the manipulation of genetic material to in a sense, can be seen to reduce the need for as much land. It's interpreted by some people in that light. So it's a question of having the priorities. And we have just so many dollars, and soil and water is struggling to get its share of those dollars.
The government does more than half the agricultural research in Canada. University scientists do the rest. Research is expensive, and chemical companies finance a lot of it. So more chemical research gets done. In the Maritimes, like everywhere else, farmers are now dependent on chemicals. Many would like to change that, but they're stuck.
I got my money in my pocket, a girl beside me, a little bottle rocket. There's a finger on her lips and a swagger in her hips. Tonight, tonight, tonight.
As the federal Liberals try to convince Kinder Morgan to proceed with its pipeline expansion project, a new tactic today from Alberta Premier Rachel Notley. She's proposing new legislation that could restrict oil supply to BC, which could drive prices up at the pump.
This bill sends a clear message. We will use every tool at our disposal to defend Albertans.
Notley says she doesn't see this as punishing BC, more like keeping the pressure on its western neighbour. BC's Environment Minister has shot back, though, saying if Alberta's actions cause gas prices in BC to go up, the province would consider legal action.
So we've already seen some exciting moments in the NHL playoffs, tense moments on the ice, but none quite like this. Last night, when Washington's Brett Connolly spotted a young fan behind the glass at the Capitals game, he tried to toss a puck her way, not once, but 3 times. So we asked Keelan Moxley to give us her side of the story, and that is our moment of the day.
Hi, my name is Keelan, and I got this puck from Brett Connolly.
How did you feel last night at the Caps game when those boys got the puck and you didn't?
I felt devastated, sad, but I felt good for the 2 boys. But I was kind of sad because I didn't get it. But Brett Connolly kept banging on the glass at me.
So how did you feel when you did finally get the puck?
I felt happy. I felt really happy.
And are you going to take the puck to school with you tomorrow?
Definitely, yes.
That's great. And when you see her face when she doesn't get it those first 2 times, she really was severely devastated. She plays hockey, too, on a Pee Wee team.
And she is 6, going on 36, says she has no idea who those boys are and does not know that man who was behind her. But she certainly knows Brett Connolly, and she will know soon that he is a Canadian.
Yeah, and it is funny to see how this whole story has been playing out on Twitter, because you mentioned the dad who's sort of behind them all. People on Twitter have just been ripping him to shreds, you know, asking the question, why did you hand the puck to everyone but her? I certainly don't know the answer to that question. I don't know if anyone will know the answer besides him, but nice to see that it all ended happily. To see her face at the end was certainly a nice thing. That is The National for this April 16th. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.